They laughed when an old man from Cebu walked onto the biggest stage in America. His clothes were worn, his hands were shaking, and his son standing beside him could not even hear the crowd. But what happened next on AGT 2025 changed their lives forever. Before this story moves on, take 1 second and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us why miracles still happen. No one expected much when the old man stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage. His name was Manuel de la Cruz, a 68-year-old fisherman from Cebu, Philippines. His back was slightly bent from decades of hauling nets from the sea, his skin darkened by years under the sun. The judges glanced at each other with polite smiles, the kind that hides low expectations. The audience murmured, unsure why an elderly man with tired eyes had made it this far. Standing beside Manuel was his son, Daniel. Daniel was 17 years old, tall but thin, with eyes that seemed alert and distant at the same time. He was deaf since the age of 4 after a severe illness that robbed him of his hearing overnight. He did not react to the crowd's noise or the music playing softly in the background. His world was silent, yet his face showed a calm strength that made some people in the audience pause. Simon Cowell leaned forward and asked why they were here. Manuel spoke slowly in broken English, his voice shaking but sincere. He said he came from Cebu, a small island where life was simple and hard. He said people laughed at him when he said his deaf son could perform on the biggest stage in America. Even their neighbors told him not to dream so high, that dreams were for rich people, not fishermen with broken boats. The laughter in the crowd returned, softer but still there. Some thought this was another emotional story with no real talent behind it. Others assumed the old man was confused, unaware of how competitive this stage truly was. Manuel continued. He explained that after Daniel lost his hearing, everything changed. Daniel stopped speaking. He stopped playing with other children. He stayed by the shore, drawing shapes in the sand while other kids ran past him. Doctors said there was little hope. Hearing aids were too expensive. Therapy was impossible. Manuel's wife died 2 years later from illness, leaving him alone with a silent child and a broken heart. One night, when Daniel was 9, Manuel noticed something strange. While repairing fishing nets, Manuel would hum old Filipino folk songs without realizing it. Daniel, who could not hear, began placing his hand on Manuel's chest and smiling. Then he started tapping rhythms on the wooden table, perfectly matching the vibrations of Manuel's humming. That was the moment Manuel realized his son could feel music even if he could not hear it. Years passed. Daniel learned to feel vibrations through floors, walls, and even the air itself. Manuel saved money little by little, sometimes skipping meals, sometimes selling parts of his fishing equipment, just to buy a second-hand keyboard. Daniel taught himself by watching YouTube videos with captions at a local internet shop. He learned rhythm by watching people walk, by observing waves crash against rocks, by feeling his father's heartbeat. Back on the AGT stage, Simon asked what exactly Daniel would do. Manuel took a deep breath and said, "My son will sing." The room went silent. Sing. A deaf boy singing on AGT. Some audience members shook their heads. A few laughed out loud, unable to hold it in. Even one judge looked down, uncomfortable. Manuel did not flinch. He simply nodded to Daniel. Daniel stepped forward. The lights dimmed. The music cue started, but Daniel could not hear it. Instead, Manuel stood behind him and gently placed his hand on Daniel's back. Tapping a steady rhythm. The judges didn't understand yet, but this was their secret language. The song began. Daniel opened his mouth, and what came out shocked everyone. His voice was raw, imperfect, but hauntingly beautiful. It was not technically flawless, but it carried something deeper. Every note trembled with emotion. He sang in English, slowly, carefully, pronouncing each word as if it cost him everything. The song was about a father's sacrifice and a child's faith. As Daniel sang, the audience realized something unbelievable. He wasn't following the music. He was following his father's heartbeat through vibrations. Halfway through the song, something went wrong. Manuel's hand slipped. His tapping stopped. Daniel faltered. His voice cracked. The music continued, but Daniel was lost. Panic spread across his face. For a brief second, it seemed the performance was about to collapse in front of millions. The audience held their breath. Then Daniel did something no one expected. He closed his eyes. He placed his hand on his own chest and continued singing. Later, Daniel would explain that in that moment, he remembered all the nights he slept hungry so his father could save money. He remembered the storms his father faced at sea. He remembered his mother's smile before she passed away. He sang from memory, not of sound, but of pain and love. Tears streamed down faces across the theater. One judge wiped their eyes openly. Simon Cowell sat frozen, his usual tough expression completely gone. When the song ended, there was silence for 2 full seconds. Then the entire room exploded. A standing ovation shook the theater. People screamed, cried, and clapped until their hands hurt. Manuel collapsed to his knees backstage, crying uncontrollably. He had spent his entire life being laughed at, underestimated, told to stay small. And now, the world was standing for his son. Simon stood up and walked to the stage. He admitted he was wrong. He said he had judged them before they even started. He said this was not just a performance, but a moment that reminded him why this show exists. Then came the twist no one expected. Simon pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti rained down as Daniel stood confused, feeling vibrations from the floor shake violently. He looked around, unsure what was happening. Manuel ran to him, hugging him tightly, whispering through tears that they were going straight to the live shows. But the story didn't end there. Backstage interviews revealed something even deeper. Daniel had never heard his own voice. He had never heard applause. He had never heard music. Everything he did came from feeling, from watching, from faith. After the episode aired, donations poured in from around the world. A top medical foundation offered Daniel advanced hearing technology. Manuel was offered a chance to finally rest from fishing for survival. Months later, Daniel stood on the AGT finale stage, this time wearing a device that allowed him to hear faint sounds for the first time. When he sang again, he broke down mid-song, overwhelmed by hearing his own voice echo back to him. Manuel watched from the side, tears streaming, knowing that all the laughter, all the humiliation, all the years of pain had led to this moment. They once laughed at the old man from Cebu. Now the world listens to his son.